absolutely have to think like an investor. I mean, I can't get off of that. You have to think very, very differently. You have to look at money that you're not working for it, but it's working for you. And I think that's a really tough shift for most people to make, because we're trained to get a job, work on the job for a period of time, retire. These things have been drilled in us. And even in our educational system, that's what we're being groomed to do, is to get a job and get a paycheck, rely on that corporation to take care of you when you retire, rely on Social Security, which is, the government stuff, and Medicare and all those things, because you've been such a good employee and you worked on this job so long, they owe me that. That's the deal. I went to college, got this great education. Now I'm working for you. You're supposed to pay me this great salary. And when I retire, you're supposed to take care of me for the rest of my life. You have to shift away from that mindset. And that's not being taught in school, right? If schools were teaching us how to manage money, how to be financially literate, how to purchase assets, how to look for cash flow, have different conversations. We don't say, I can't afford this. We say, what assets can I buy so that I can buy this? We say different things than we would if we were thinking like an employee, but now we're thinking like an entrepreneur. We're thinking like an investor. We're thinking like a business owner. We're thinking cash flow now. We're thinking assets. We're not thinking paycheck anymore. We're not thinking retirement. We're not thinking of all the ways that things were, all the things that people taught us to think. We're thinking out of the box now. We're thinking independently. We're thinking, well, I got to care for my family. I have to figure this out. I have to get a business. I have to now figure out ways that I can buy assets that are going to bring me cash.
And the piece that I piggy on that with is, which is scripture, which is a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, obviously is one, but also that we train up a child in the way that they should go and they shall not depart. We're void of a lot of training in certain things, which really isn't. This isn't an educational system from a school perspective. It's educational from a family perspective. A man, which is a man and a woman, takes the responsibility to train their children. And you of course, you would hope that we were trained. And so sometimes there's a cut or a void, but the beauty is we can get that back. And the scripture is a wonderful tool to give us the foundation of the things that we need to use and model to do. Okay, and if we train in what's right and what's good and what's appropriate or proper, and we tell the difference between bad or good, the things we should do. The Bible has so many stories and so much training about things, even as simple as how you spend your money, okay, and what we do to waste or don't be wasteful. All these things that are actually seem very basic, but they're so accurate. And if we did more to do that, to then leverage and get ourselves ready to, as we build on the education we get from our training at home, which is why we create the legacy. And like we mentioned to you, setting things in place, even for us, trust and a family trust and all these things. So even if some of our children was still a little bit hard-headed, they still can't reach the veil.
Right.
You still can't destroy it.
Yeah.
I won't let you. You see what I'm saying? It's my job. I'm not going to let you destroy anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to educate you even when we're gone.
Right.
They'll be looking at video and stuff saying, that's my dad, man. We love him.
Let me piggyback on that. Something so powerful that Rod just said when he talked about setting up the financial foundation for the generation behind us. When we do that, it allows for our kids to be more creative.
Yeah.
Because when God has called you to do something, but you can't do it because you're busy grinding every day, trying to survive and pay your bills and trying to get ahead, you don't have time to create and be the person that he created you to do, that gift and talent that he put in you. You can't do it because you're too busy working, trying to stay ahead, trying to survive, trying to pay your bills. But imagine if somebody went before you and laid that foundation. So now your bills are paid, you have a house to live in, all that's taken care of. There's money in the bank that like he just said, you can't destroy that nest egg because now it's protected from the different legal ways that you can do that. And it's turning out money on a regular, continuous basis.
In perpetuity.
Now
it never stops growing.
Right. Now I can focus on what did God call me to do and build something new and something great to even add on top of what was already laid down for me so that the next generation will have even more, you know.
You know what's interesting is Zach and I were just having this conversation yesterday or today, I don't remember, but you said earlier, Jen, like we've been taught a certain way, right? And one of the things is when you come out of college, you come out of school, it is faster, quote unquote, faster to make more money up front. Their traditional ways, go get a corporate job. What are you going to do? You're going to be making 100,000, 150,000, 200, whatever it is. Yeah. You go out and you become an entrepreneur, you become an investor. You might not make that much money up front.
That's right. Yeah.
But in the long run,
That's right.
you're going to make more and you're not going to have a ceiling.
Right. Right.
Talk to me about that. How do you explain to somebody younger, a child, or somebody coming up out of that system that they have to almost flip that? Like
You
flip
really
their
do.
mindset on that.
But absolutely, you got to flip your mindset on it. And Rod mentioned family life and home. I think if our parents would spend more time with their children, helping them figure out that part, like what am I gifted and passionate about? Maybe I'll start a business in that, and just understanding the fundamentals of business. Because even though a person can recognize and realize, I don't want a W-2 job, I don't want to become an employee, I want to become a business owner, there's education there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people quit their job and they go and start their business and they're miserable.
Well, and they're making less money at first.
They're making less money at first. They may be even working even harder at first.
They might.
But if you have the roadmap, the playbook, so to speak, of how to build a business, here again, we're back to education. They're not going to teach you that in our traditional educational system. Running a business, building a business so that it goes from being that sole proprietorship to being a corporation, to where you can step out of it and now the business is now returning you money, or it's cash flowing every month.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between being an entrepreneur that is a sole proprietor, that is that one employee, that one entrepreneur that's busting his head against the wall. Yeah. Okay, and his kid is watching him do that, going, I don't want that. Don't give me that thing. Well, you just own a job now. Right. But that's where it starts, though, right?
It does.
Let's say it starts there, but you have the ultimate plan of where it's going to end up. I think Michael Gerber does a good job of this in his book, E-Myth, that you first map out the entire plan of that business. So you see it as a big business first in your mind and on paper. You think of IBM, I don't even know if they're still around, but you think of IBM. His story was he wrote down what IBM was going to be when it was at its biggest and best, but it started off small, right? Yeah. He even saw employees wearing blue suits and black shoes and white shirts. All of that was on paper first, in his mind first, in his heart first. Everything starts in your mind and before it touches your hand. Yeah. So even as a business owner, you start small, you have a little baby business, but in that baby are all the elements of a big corporation.
Yeah.
Just like an infant. Yeah. Infant has all of its parts before it becomes a big human being. Yeah. It's the same thing with a business. But oftentimes we think, I left the big job, or the job where I was getting a paycheck. Now I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, but I'm miserable because I'm working like 40 hours a day, trying to get this thing to grow.
You're living in an alternate universe,
and
40 hours a day.
You're taxed higher because now you're paying self-employment tax, and you're like, well, wait a minute, they told me to start a business. Right. Well, the idea is to start it there, but to grow it to a corporation, to where now you're getting the big tax benefits as a corporation, and then even as an investor, we get bigger tax benefits as being
at the end of the day, this kind of all comes back to what we keep talking about.
Education, it's financial education.
It's and I think a piece that really keeps sticking out to me is, because so many things have happened in our society, so much has changed, even from when we were kids, and even from when you guys were kids. You're a different generation from us, but we notice how all these changes take place. And I think that we've done, and this is just my feeling, I think that we've done a poor job in many ways of holding to the things that are true and right and scripturally right, things that the Word of God would tell us to do. That's the right things. I think we've allowed things to slip some and say, everybody's doing it now, and it's okay if the kids do this, and it's okay. And if we all continue to do that, then it gets further and further away from center, which is right, or the right place. And it just, and things slip, and we see a lot of slippage. There's a lot of things that has happened in families. Yeah. And really the buck stops with the mom and dad. And the buck stops with us saying, not going to happen on my watch. Right. You can't do it. I don't care who else is doing it. I don't care if little Jamie or Susie down the road, or I don't care if they got 20 iPhones and 6 computers and they stay up all night. You're not doing it. Okay? And I think what happens is we and even us, we talk about it with our grown kids. We look back and we say, we could have did this or we could have done that. We don't beat ourselves up because we feel like we did a decent job, but it was stuff we didn't know. We didn't know, and no one like told us or said to us and pulled our coattail and said, hey, you might not want to do that with the kids. You might need to let them struggle a little bit, or you might need to let them have adversity, or you might need to, these different things to help mold them better.
Right.
So we look at it now and we said we could have molded them a little better.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
That's stuff that we see. We're like,
1,000%.
So we'll use that on our grandkids.
You know what? Well, yeah, I
Those
was gonna say,
grandkids gonna get it, man. We're gonna
like,
give them so much.
They're gonna get it good though. They're gonna get it good though.
They're gonna get it good.
We got some setups
We're
coming.
ready for them.
what you just said though, the family legacy, what I love about you guys is,
Yeah.
you want to pass down your family legacy, but you're also, you said it yourselves, you guys, you've been through, you're in a different generation than a lot of people, like that are investors teaching. And so you're able to teach you're teaching legacy in real estate to people that become your real estate legacy that aren't even your family.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
And I love that because,
Yeah.
you're to the point you've lived real estate for how many years now?
Oh my gosh.
35 plus.
Has it been that long?
So you have 35 years of experience, and now you're passing that on to other people.
Yeah.
And for people listening to this, it would be wise of them to take heed to that.
Yeah.
Because somebody in our generation, something that we fail to do sometimes is listen to people who are older and wiser
Wow.
who've been through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just my take. You don't have to say anything to that.
And just to show you just how accurate that is, some of my mentors now, some of the people I listen to the most, they're 80, 88.
Exactly.
Apostle, Zen people, Frank people I listen to, they're all 20 years older than me, 25 years old. And when they say stuff, I lean forward. He'll say stuff often. Sometimes he'll say things, and I don't really agree. But at the time, I'm like, just be quiet and listen. See, because that's wisdom speaking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
So
he
true.
just said something to me, and he said this one day, one of my mentors, he said, when you get to where I am, you will understand what I said. He said, I'm in a different place from you. And I thought about it, and I was like, because, I'm thinking to myself, well, he's speaking from that. But no, he's speaking from the journey. He was speaking to me from his journey. He's 20 years past me in that journey. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to sit back and listen.
Yeah.
And I got to adjust.
That's wise.
Okay. And that's wisdom. So I get the benefit of that wisdom. So, he said, well, I'm not saying, you can do what you want. I'm not telling you what to do. And I'm not trying to offend you of what you said. But this is what I'm going to give you. And I'll take it. And I allow that. He's like, I'll hear that. And if you think, and if what I said was off in some way to you, then by all means, correct me. Tell me where I'm off. And I think that's what we often don't want. Right. We don't want somebody to tell us, well, especially when it comes to parenting or relationship stuff.
Or your money.
Money. You're like, oh, those are sacred. You can talk to me about a lot of stuff, but I don't want you telling me about that.
Right. Well, once upon a time, age was considered an asset.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so what we see a lot now is, and I share this with a lot of women that are my age, now it's time for us to speak up.
Yeah.
But people want to push you aside because you're a certain age, and they think you should go out to pasture. But this is now the time where we should be leaning forward and saying, wait a minute now. I've got 63 years of experience. I got something to say, and I got something I can share that could make your life better and make things easier for you if you would just listen. Yeah. And that takes wisdom for a younger person to say, you know what, I need to be quiet. I might know more than them from a technology standpoint. Like I may know how to get on my phone and tick-a-tack and make stuff move fast and all this stuff, and all these things are moving faster, but nobody is the wiser. Did you notice that? Like things are moving super, super fast, and people are getting dumber and dumber. Like a lot of this stuff just comes from experience and just sitting listening to some fundamental, foundational things about life.
Yeah.
That I think would offer a lot of wisdom to people.
For sure.